almost guaranteed that will never be developed. So in any case, that swap that some people question of the land for the utility improvements, the roadway improvements, that's where that's being paid for. So there's a fire that needs to be lit under folks to more urgently develop that ground out there. It's not a bad piece of highway, and I'm not regretting it, but I really thought we would have more investment out there once that infrastructure was in. But every year I look at that, and that is one, that'd be 201-8010, principal and interest. This is like killing you, man. So that's maybe more than I need to say, but that's what 201 adds up to be. The revenue is going to be real close to supporting that. At 1.914, revenue's going to be, I feel pretty good about that. There'll be that transfer, won't be quite $500,000, but the gas tax revenue, the license plate revenue, the borrowing that we'll do to renew those bans, we should be okay in 201. I talked about 202, I'll just real quickly on 203, the good news, the bad, or for this year's budget, the good news is we didn't appropriate anything last year. So if you look at this year's budget, there is no appropriation for the license plate tax. So for the annual critics, you can tell when they've gone to renew their tags, because certain people will complain about that cost. That money wasn't spent last year. So there's around $200,000 that is sitting in the 203 fund balance. And what I think the plan will be is to take that money, maybe a little more, because license renewals will come in, and couple that with that 307 that I was just talking about in 201, and that'll give us between $350,000 and $400,000 worth of local paving, which is, I say it's typical, but that's been about what we've spent on our local paving. So that's what 203 will do. Okay. 204, like I said at the outset, that I don't think it's changed since I started talking. The income tax supported funds are in pretty good shape going into this year, and if the revenue holds flat, we'll be good next year. And you can sort of look at this would be page 24. I'll back up a little bit. On 23 is where the swimming pool is.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at that number that says 30,000, the contract services, that's a little more than we've ever been charged by the Y for their services. So it's a little bit of a cushion in there. You can see that this past year it was 21,400. That would be under technical services on 23. Heck, the other big item there is chemicals, and not to be flippant, but that's kind of anyone's guess. We're counting on the rest of the repairs not being real high there this year because we did pump replacement. It seemed like a lot of stuff last year. So then when you turn to page 24, it says miscellaneous recreation. That's the mowers, the maintenance crew that cleans all the bathrooms, empties trash cans. That's where those dollars are focused.
This is the tax levy that you and I had a lively discussion about in March.
It is, and so.
And nothing has changed. We're still paying out workers' comp, Medicare, all this maintenance and stuff from a levy that was, designated for acquisition of public property and improvements in the parks.
Yeah, I mean, we did have a lively discussion about that, and I suppose, I'm not being, Aaron, I imagine you still think you're right from that point of view, and I'm standing by my guns. I don't see a way, some of the criticism that is hurled our way is part of the nature of the job, but some of it is no toilet paper in the bathroom, you don't mow enough, the parks look like heck, of which are 3 piles of it. You need some TP to clean that stuff up. It's just not the case. A lot of money is spent there.
I
I
understand.
think they're maintained pretty well, but if you don't fund them, that 90,000, that's really 105 and look at all the benefits at the top of 24, then another place you could find that money, either just don't have fewer employees, spend less time in the park, or create a transfer in that very last line item that's in the general fund, transfer to the police, fire pension, that you could add a transfer. I can remember a handful of years ago now, state auditor projected that we're gonna be $10,000 short. Didn't turn out to be that, but there was a transfer in the budget that the money was never sent over. That's my best answer as to, if you don't wanna spend those levy dollars on park maintenance and you have to get those same dollars. Just address one other issue, kind of quickly on this, is contracting out those services. I think that what we would find if we did that is the expectations for savings would exceed what you really save. And I think other highway agencies have found that out when they contracted out mowing up with ODOT. Some of that was a darn smart idea, and some of it was, you know, what a foolish contracting out. In some cases, they've gone back to that. So anyways, but that is what you had mentioned, and the staffing costs. Really, it's not 105, it's 167 here, because you add in the benefits. Only other thing I'd say is those are prorated. Those are the hours that the service department works in the parks, and that they bill their time to. And then the proration happens with the benefits are partially attributed to this fund and partially attributed to the street and other departments they may work in throughout the year, which is a neat improvement. It's really helped the issue that you were concerned about. Because we had 3, back in the day, we had 3 personnel arbitrarily assigned to the street department. Those 3 came out of parks. Don't ask me if that's right, but that was the allocation they used to kind of lift the city out of fiscal emergency. 1 at the airport, and there were 2,000 hours spent out there mowing. 3 out of the parks fund, and then the rest out of the street department.
What's the 25,000 in infrastructure for?
That's the other, we've done really well with NatureWorks grants.
Oh, I see.
And in most years, the last few years, we've been the only entity in Crawford County that applied. Well, those pesky folks at the park district applied for funds and got most of Crawford County's allocation. There was 6,400 for us, and after I got done fussing about it for a little while, it was pretty clear that 6,400 was closer to funding that bathroom at Kobe Park than, cutting our nose off. So we went ahead and accepted that. That 25,000 is the remainder of the projected cost for the bathroom out there at Kobe Park.
31, I thought those were more like 70.
Yeah, we're gonna go like single stall,
Economy.
unisex, whatever you want, 1 bathroom, and they're less. So, I don't know, we may end up, you know, if the dog park goes better than we think, and we got people standing in line, we got the dogs freely enjoying nature, and we're standing in line, you know, it's that picture's got to be kind of funny. But that's the answer, it's a good question, and they've gone
Is
up,
that much difference?
yeah. Yep, yep.
That's not a porta pot, right?
No, it's one of the prefabs that have been called cheesy and stuff.
It's a
super
Yeah, it's
duper
one
porta
of
pot.
those. It's one of those. I'm sure they are what they are. They work, and they are for sure a step above the porta potty answer. So that's your rather long answer to what's that 25 million. This fund, when it's all put together, will have more money at the end of 22 than it does at the beginning. It's gonna be rolled a little bit. I think that's a good thing. I don't wanna minimize or trivialize any of the other funds in between the 600s and 204, but, let me see here. Let's direct the folks' attention to page 28. This is one you'll think about when you get home. There's very little CARES Act money left, and I'm hoping that before the spending for this year is cut off, we're gonna do a couple things. There's a purchase order that's in there for sort of miscellaneous, a blanket, and there's about 13,000 that's unexpended. That put together, we're gonna, it doesn't need councilmatic action, I don't think, but you may see it at the last meeting. We're gonna buy radios for the police department. They're of various degrees of obsolescence and age and dependability, and so they're gonna take care, they've got some other equipment, miscellaneous equipment needs, we're gonna take care of those out of the existing budget. We're gonna propose that we spend up the CARES Act dollars, just shy of 30,000 on outfitting them with radios, with the goal of cameras, and then eventually having that tied into a new dispatching station that can really get real time and use the video detection that'll be put in over the next couple of years to do more than have a tape. If there's vandalism, then we get a tape, and maybe we can prosecute them, maybe we can't. Our hope is that if you have the right displays, the dispatcher can see shenanigans going on and alert our people, and we will have a safer, better equipped police department. So that's CARES Act.
Tom,
Yeah,
have we talked anything about upgrading firearms for the police department also?
yeah, they're getting,
Getting that taken care of.
yeah, that's what I said, I didn't want to get into, yeah, the maintenance of the firearms is being done in this year's budget, but they have money in this year's budget, and then the CARES Act would be another thing they need.
Okay, thank you.
Radios that would use CARES Act.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. That's CARES Act. Rescue plan. I have mixed feelings about that 245, I guess I feel, those went right to utility customers, right to their pockets. How can you feel bad about that?
I didn't.
But we spent it, and so we can't get that back, so you'll see there in 28, we have 277, 812, and what we're, and I saw the commissioners this morning, and we're gonna set up a meeting with them. What we're gonna propose to do is to spend a large piece of that for the design, the engineering on the Railroad Street water plant improvements. It gets into some costs that we really haven't massaged enough, but there's about $2 million worth of improvements that are needed in a phased fashion at Railroad Street to get it upgraded, replace some of the things that have been causing us problems. And our plan is to propose to the commissioners the same thing, the same structure that they offered Bucyrus, which was you design, you pay for the engineering, and we'll pay for the infrastructure. That's the water line extension in the west half of the county. Here, where our primary need is some pretty important upgrades of the plant. So that's what, and I don't want to spend $277,000 on engineering, so we'll be talking to some engineers about who's going to do that work, but we know we at least have that much.
If I may, Mayor.
Yeah.
As far as water lines, one of the words of the year was lateral lines. Is
Yeah,
there
shared
anything
laterals.
in this budget that
Yeah, I
we're
think,
thinking
you know,
about?
I didn't, if you look in 601, I don't think Nikki kept me away from the scissors. I think there's 50,000, there's one water line in particular. And the problem we had earlier is there's a shared sewage
Yeah,
line.
right.
There are shared water laterals, and there's one out on South Street that did it stay in there? Did I knock it out of there? It's in there? Oh, well. Left to my own devices, I would cut my way to no rate increase, but I think that stayed in there, and that's one project that'll go to. That will take care of the water plant. It doesn't have much in here to make the capital improvements to the sewage plant. It's about 40 years old. And so avoiding that day of reckonings probably can't be done for much longer. But those are my recommendations, our recommendations on what to do with the last of the CARES Act and what we still have. And I feel pretty confident the commissioners are gonna, they're going to allocate their money based on roughly on a per capita basis. And 1.8 million roughly would be our share if we took that real hard edge line on that. So I think the improvements that have been estimated, that EPA is gonna want at the water plant match. So that's, I could go on, but I won't. We're back to the drawing board at the water plant and with any of these improvements, if for some reason that doesn't work with the county. So it's real important to the extent to which you talk to those gentlemen or think through how we can make sure that they make those funds available.
Okay.
What else we got? It's probably getting like 8:30 or something like that.
5:09.
I don't know.
I got one,
2 hours.
I got one quick question.
Yeah.
But, on page 45, the electric fund, we only spent 7,400, or $7.4 million. Because I think that
Help me, what page?
45,
I'm looking at that too. Because we have 10
because
million.
it's almost like, the ETF on that's like 900,000 or a million, almost every day. The year to date we spent.
What page, Rod? 45? Yeah. Okay.
It's probably just not up to date.
Seems awful low.
Yeah, let me look at that. I think the answer is that we are current with AMP, so that price will go up, but that some of those payments have not been posted to our account.
Okay.
So stay tuned.
I can give you an example.
Yeah,
The OWDA payment in June, 421,000 was paid. It is not in the system. So if you look at the 601 fund and it looks like, and the debt payment, and it shows that we only paid like $10,000 for the year out of 300 and some thousand, it's paid, it hasn't been posted in the system. So there are a number of automatic electronic transfers that have taken place throughout the last half of the year, and especially in the last couple, 3 months, that have not been posted, because that's part of the issue, that's part of what I don't know, if you will. And I'm working on it. Okay, so Tom talked about Rita a little bit, and as an example, Rita is posted in, I post in the gross amount that Rita collects in the revenues. I have not expensed out since July, we have not expensed out the fees that they take off of that. Okay, so the money is there. It's all accurate, the revenue, the cash looks a little bit more than what it actually is, because we haven't, the cash is right, the revenue versus expense, and how it was explained this by Cindy yesterday, is that so far you have overestimated your revenue and underestimated your expenses. So once the expenses get up, and it's nothing more than me putting together paper and entering it into the system. It's not that it's not been paid or anything like that, we've done it. So those are minor details that I'm trying to work out.
Yeah, that's well said. At 6:05, there is a mind-blowing encumbrance that's happened. Those bills have been paid, encumbrance hasn't been,
It's paid without.
They're $800,000 a month, roughly.
Yep.
So if you look at that, you're looking at 4 or 5 months that maybe not have been posted yet. They're
You look
paid.
at Page 43.
Yeah.
another,
52370, that's where you'll see it, right?
I never, we were a little anxious for a while, last couple of weeks, Brian's learned a lot and has shared that. Looked like the health insurance wasn't being paid. And, you know, a vendor that we owe $42 for pick a subject, they're calling, like, I need my bill, it's like, well, okay, we'll get you paid, but we're not hearing from Anthem, and we're not hearing from AMP. Maybe they trust us, like, something else. So Brian started to look, and Anthem, same thing. Automatic deduction, so we're good with them. If you have health insurance with the city, don't panic, it's been paid. But it hasn't been posted to the system, so that's what made Nikki's job of estimating benefits, like, wow, what do I use? And so
Well,
we
and it
just
all
used
works.
last year and plugged in 11%, nothing any more sophisticated than that. But they're being paid if you look at it and wonder what.
The stuff that you have, I mean, it made it difficult for all the departments to try to forecast their budget based on expenses, because 2 months ago, there was a box full of invoices down there and they
Yeah.
paid. So they had shown it off of their books, there's no bill sitting on Phil Jackson's desk, they were all sitting in the auditor's office. You know, so those remedies have been taken care of. I mean, the invoices I have sitting downstairs, the actual invoices are a week old.
But we're in much better shape than we were 2 months ago.
Yeah. Oh, as far as like knowing
But
which ends up.
there's a lot of catching up to do, and I can tell you out of my training yesterday with reconciliations, it's gonna be a job. So I will tell you flat out, we will not, the bank statements probably will not be reconciled by January 1.
But I think
But we're working on it.
it took us a few years, back in the years when Paula was treasurer, to get that reconciliation lined up, and I remember that was one of the conditions, if you will, to get released, that we had to consistently do reconciliation. So we'll get back to it. Anyway, what other questions are there?
The elephant in the room, the health department?
Yeah,
Do we have a budget, or do we have any numbers from them, or?
Yeah, 350, it's
I'm
where
sorry.
you see that, I didn't even touch it. Yeah, Rod's got it right there.
Okay.
353.
Yeah. It may be, Doc, it may be, that's what they requested. I don't think they're chiseling. They
That's
need
consistent
that.
year after year, right? I mean,
I think it's stabilized
Yeah.
and, the strategy, as I said a couple hours ago, the strategy to use grants to offset some of their operating overhead, it worked. It's working, you know? Now, some other things are implemented those years, maybe not quite as well, but that in particular, that Trish was in part responsible for, and staff adjusted to, I think all those are things that they want to continue. So I think if we were coming up $500,000 short, I might not be so relaxed about their request out of the general fund, but the general fund, as I said, it's in pretty good shape. You know, you knock on wood, you don't wanna go around crowing about this, because, you know, instant karma's a real B word, but, we have more cash in our general fund than just about any jurisdiction that one could think of. And I think it speaks to the spenders of the taxes, the department heads, and then the management of the budget by you guys and Nikki and stuff. We may have a bumpy start, like a temporary budget, we're still gonna try to figure out based on closing out this year, what we start next year with, but other jurisdictions will go with temporaries little because they don't know if they got enough money. We certainly have enough money, even in those sick funds, the water and sewer.
We will, you can assure that there will be 2 budgets open. We'll be able to open 22, 21 will not close.
And we
So it'll be a interesting way. We're going to have the help of all the department heads, because everyone will have to be cautious. If we have 21 open, they can't get in to do 22 business. So that's going to be communication from our office to the department heads and to the administration to say, can't get in to do purchase orders today because we're working on 21. Okay, or we'll close 21 down today and let's do 22 business. We're hoping to be a short period of time, but the reconciliations have to be taken care of, and, you know, closing out all, we gotta catch up where we're at.
Well, I appreciate you making a comment about the solvent revenue stream, because that was gonna be a question, would the temporary budget be appropriate in this case, but you clarified that so thank you.
Yeah, we'll be
Appreciate
okay.
it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and SSI made it very clear when I went to the training down there in October that is possible, and it happens quite frequently.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe one of the last things, Doc, I'll say is the gotcha or busted. As you go through this, you see something on, what was Nikki thinking? Because I won't own any of those things, but like, we're really open for that. It's better that we get it tweaked over the next month. If there's a bust in there in your own mind, please call. And you know, council member-elect, I think we're wide open to share how we came up with those dollars and what the thinking is.
Does any members have any questions more for the mayor on the?
I have one question for Brian. Are we being charged any late fees on any outstanding bills?
simple answer is yes.
Okay. And I'm sure you don't have the figure, but I just want to know, okay?
The track,
Yeah, there's we're asking for forgiveness on some of the stuff. Some of the vendors have said, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and mostly, there are obligations with other levels of government that'll cause the biggest carryover, it'll repercuss here loudest. So we'll have to, there's nothing in there, in this budget, to account for what we may have in terms of fines
And
for
most of
late
the,
payment.
you still have a lot of ACHs coming out of the checking account,
I think the answer is yes.
automatic.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's some.
I know the ant bill was, and some of the state loans that the city had, those were,
The WDA was.
yeah.
And real honestly, I don't know a lot about the ACH. I mean, that's why some of the stuff hasn't been posted, because invoices have a white jacket and ACHs, and those are a blue jacket, and I'm still learning the blue jacket side of things. I know that's kind of weird how to say it, but I can pay a bill right now. we got it down, Jamie and I got it down, the invoices and stuff are being taken care of, the checks are going out the door. There's some automatic payment stuff that Eunice had already set up, that they're coming out, there's stuff like OWDA that they're gonna take our money because it's already set up that way. If I don't have a purchase order, December 31st, $421,000 comes out for the OWDA. It's gonna come out. I just gotta get ahead of it with the blue paper, saying, and what I learned yesterday was free encumbrance term. Brand new term to me yesterday. But you're putting you know what I'm saying? So you're putting the money in there, and it's ready to go, and then when it hits the bank, all we have to do is go click, 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 it's already done, and it transfers on these pieces of paper. So it's certainly been a learning curve, and I know I am very fortunate for the last couple of months. Had I waited till January, Lord help us.
You would still be working on 21 at the end of 22.
You're not wrong, Laura. I mean,
No, I know,
Yeah.
because when you're that far behind it, it takes a long time to catch up.
a lot of the biggest problems are resolved. The federal taxes, the pension funds,
And those have to be done, or you're gonna get fined.
it's coming.
Probably,
Yeah.
that's what I was saying.
Yeah, I don't-
That's not reflected in here, but we know it's coming.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, it's coming.
Yeah.
November, the first part of November, we paid July, August, September, and October's federal tax. They're supposed to be posted 5 calendar days after payroll.
Right.
It is what it is. I'm not gonna, so if we get fines and stuff coming, and we fully anticipate, SSI says, federal government, you might be able to get away with it, state government's gonna go right like that. They are.
And the federal government will take longer to catch up than the state government will.
But
Yeah, PERS,
they
they
are
have a sense of
being
humor
paid.
about it.
Yeah.
Imagine that. I don't have a sense of humor about that, do you, Mark? No, you need those pay-ins, the PERS, so that
Yeah. There we go. So,
IT's Brian, we don't have a $50,000 NSF check for not having funds in the account, so.
but it's, so,
It's a lot better than that.
15 or 12.50 an hour?
anyways, those are good questions, and
and we have talked about it, tried to track it, so so we know what we're doing. And I've talked with the state auditor, Cindy, and most of these fines and stuff will come out of the auditor's office budget, and we'll transfer, it'll come out, if you look at 389, there's nothing in there right now, but 389 is taxes, assessments, and blah, blah, blah. We're gonna fund money into that so that we can, any of those monies that we pay, we'll be able to track those.
Oh, good idea.
So,
Any idea how big the fines are?
from the federal stuff, no, I know for a fact I've already paid $1,700 to PERS. I've got $350 I owe police and fire. Haven't heard a word from the federal government of the state of Ohio yet. And there's actually another $1,300 or $1,400 from PERS.
so our plan is to make payment. If we had a plan tonight, it's to make payment. And then accountability wise, well, who's gonna, is anybody gonna have to pay for that? Our plan now is to wait till we're audited, and then those payments that we've made will likely be flagged, and then we'll find out whether we get a citation or if there's findings for recovery to individuals that, that are responsible for it. So if anybody's thinking about how do we get accountability, it probably goes down that line. That
To run it too, the individual vendors, if there's a $3.50 late fee from a previous month, or a $7 or a $10 or whatever it is, the best thing I was told was pay it, or you're gonna call 500 vendors and beg for forgiveness. So our budgets are, I mean, there's I hate to say wiggle room, because that's the wrong term, because we shouldn't have to pay them anyway, but it is what it is. So I'm paying the late, I'm adding the late fees on, we're paying them, so we're getting squared with the devil across the board.
Well, you know, these people have businesses, they have employees to pay, so it's not unreasonable, and we probably do the same thing.
We shut people off because they don't pay.
Right, exactly, so,
I mean, we do, right?
Yeah.
Not to make light of it, but yeah, and when the hard part when I had the entire box there was who gets paid first. So, and the simple answer was, we alphabetized it when we started a day and we went back, you know, and if HR Wolf called up and says, hey, I really need this money, I put them in the front of the list and I paid it all. If Kenny Blackman's called me up and said, you know, I got a $450 bill that's been sitting here since May, can you please pay it? Front of the line, out the door. But by just methodically taking it, Jamie and I were able to clear that box out. And so we are in better shape. And, you know, I have a plan of action.
no, the bank hasn't charged you any late fees or anything, or anything like that.
No, that's what Tom and I talked about early on when I said, because the paper, the revenue showed bad. I'm like, there's money in the bank, we can't do it. We just gotta get it. It's what y'all see on these numbers in the system is.
And you're doing deposits every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Revenues are posted every day. Revenues are posted as we speak. They are 100% up and zeroed out.
So it sounds like we're getting where we need to be, we're learning from mistakes that we made, we're getting a fresh start, and we're moving forward, to wrap it up in a nutshell. At 9:25 on a
It's really a
Wednesday.
smart move by the current audit to bring Brian in
Yes,
as pay results.
I will not be looking at my
Good
work budget
decision
2
by
hours
you.
before I come up here next Wednesday, I can assure you that.
Well, it's getting late, everyone. Any more questions? As the mayor indicated, if you do have any, for the folks that have done this before, if you do have any questions, please get a hold of his office. I'm sure Brian, the other thing, real quickly though, is I want to apologize to Ms. Durbin back there because I had a mind hiccup when I was introducing you earlier and I felt really bad afterwards. So she is our soon-to-be.
Weeks ago, so.
I know, but you know, the mind is a terrible thing to waste. So.
Some days it's hard to get old.
Yeah. And so with that, I
I'll make a
entertain,
motion to adjourn.
Mr. Triplett made the motion, Mr. Bodkin second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned at 9:21. Thank you very much.
I can't even see.